I'm Dave Rose. I'm an economist who studies the connection between culture and human flourishing. With my colleagues at the American Civics Academy, I hope to launch a new movement to revolutionize how we teach civics in America. Today I'll be talking about anger in America. Increasingly in America, we're hostile towards those outside our political group. We're becoming an us versus them country, awash in tribalism. Now we even have separate halftime shows for the Super Bowl. Who would have thought? Aren't you getting tired of it? I know that I am. Your identity shouldn't be determined by who you hate. Unfriending has become the new pastime. But when I was a teenager, it was impossible to imagine that someone would stop being your friend just because of a political disagreement. Disagreeing did not automatically mean you were on opposite sides of good and evil. So we talked, we argued. Sometimes the arguments were heated, but we couldn't help but come to better understand each other in the process. Like gravity, this understanding tended to pull us together. So what changed? What we think our country is like profoundly affects how we think about each other. There are now two very different views about what America is like. One of them has been increasingly dividing us and making us miserable. The other provides a path back to civility and harmony. What's making us increasingly miserable is a very pernicious idea. The rise of Western America is largely the story of the strong getting ever better at oppressing the weak. This idea has dominated civics and history courses for over half a century, and it shows. We're now a nation divided between oppressors and oppressed. Now, before I go any further, let me make it clear that oppression is an important part of the American story. Every child should be taught about it. But is this really what made America? Our path back to the kind of civility and optimism American became famous for depends on a very different idea. It's the idea that in America, most of our behavior, our institutions, and our system as a whole is cooperative in nature. If you believe that it was cooperation that made America, you'll tend to view even strangers as potential partners. They aren't likely to be your enemy, and they just might become your friend. I think the idea that America's story is mostly about cooperation is closer to the truth than the idea that America's story is mostly about oppression. On this channel, I'm going to show you why it is not just improbable that oppression brought us to this point in history, it's impossible. Only cooperation could have gotten the job done of making America. You are most likely to believe this if you understand deeply why it's true. Helping you achieve this understanding is why my colleagues and I created the American Civics Academy. America's not perfect, far from it. But there's a big difference between thinking that your country is basically good, but has done some horrible things, and thinking that your country is basically bad, even though it can't help but have some redeeming qualities. In any case, wouldn't it be nice to be for something for a change, rather than just being against the other side? The idea that America's story was driven by the power of cooperation gives us something to be for. And unlike the oppression story, the cooperation story also happens to be the right story. This How America Was Made channel hopes to unleash a revolution in our civic culture by helping everyone learn what they need to know to see that it was cooperation that made America. From that story, every American can see that we depend on each other much more than it first appears. So please join us on our journey to better understand who we are, the true nature of what we've achieved, and how best to ensure that our achievements and our ongoing experiment in liberty will continue long into the future.